In golf, having a par score is the expected number of swings that you need to make to get the ball into the hole. And in Halo, there's achievements for completing Halo levels in under the par time, which is the expected time that you should be able to do it in. But every once in a while, it just seemed like the par time was a little bit too short for an expected casual playthrough. So today we decided to take a look at the hardest par times across all the Halo games. But before we jump into this, I'm sure you've asked yourself before, what would happen if Master Chief and Cortana had an edgy teenage son named Cortano117? And what if he wanted to start up a personalized website to show off his growing collection of black nail polish? I mean, how would people know that he had opaque black, metallic black, it's on a phase dad black, and total eclipse of the heart black? How could he share all of this and show it off to various communities online? Well, we think he would likely use Squarespace to build his website. And they actually are the sponsor to this video. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is easily the best platform to grow your online presence and help you build a website. More about that at the end of the video though. Okay, jumping into this list, we decided to try to limit the number of par times for this video so we kind of show the diverse and interesting challenges that come up across all of them. And so you can expect anywhere between 2 to 4 levels per Halo game here. But honestly, each one we talk about definitely earned its place on this list. I honestly have no clue what they were thinking picking these par times. So first up, let's take a look at Halo Combat Evolved's Truth and Reconciliation, which expects you and any other player to go ahead and play through that level in just 15 minutes. And honestly, that's a really short time considering how long this level actually is. I mean, you start off the level jumping out of a pelican outside, you have to make your way through this whole outdoor section, there's a firefight section before you are able to fly up into the ship, and then from there, there's more holdout sections scattered throughout the level, and of course, multiple rooms and hallways that you have to navigate, and getting the 15-minute time on this is probably the first challenging par time you're gonna face if you're going for all of the par time achievements. Even on easy difficulty, you can easily get stuck behind some sort of soft lock that will completely ruin the chance of you completing this level in just 15 minutes. And honestly, if 343 was intending on setting up the par times to be an actual par time, something that regular players expected to do, the same way that most of the levels have somewhat accurate par times, this level is definitely an outlier because you're just expected to speedrun your way through it to get this 15-minute time. But continuing the trend of just ridiculous par times, Assault on the Control Room is somehow one of those levels that you are expected to clear in just 20 minutes. Honestly, throughout all of my playthroughs, the first time I ever played Halo, Assault on the Control Room is that one level that just always took me forever to play through. So it definitely came to be a really big surprise when they expect players to just jump into this one and clear all of the indoor hallways, the outdoor sections, the tank part, and everything else in this level in just 20 minutes. And then this next level, we were unsure if we should include it, but we definitely decided we had to include it because you're expected to complete the Maw in 15 minutes. And maybe this is just us and Luke and I being bad at Halo, but whenever we play through the Maw, it takes us probably about 25 minutes to 30 minutes on a regular playthrough, even on easy difficulty. Now sure, a lot of it can be contributed to the fact that the flood blows us up all the time, or contributed to the fact that we, when we're at the grenade section, either miss our grenades or fall off the platform and die, and then we don't respawn, and it's kind of like having the Iron Skull on even though it's not on. And then of course there's this long timed section where you have to drive your Warthog. It does seem like 15 minutes is cutting it a little bit close for just what is expected, but it doesn't get easier when we jump to Halo 2. Regret was one of those levels that really kind of just made me question the validity of any of these par times, because the level of Regret, no matter how hard you try and rush through things, you can't complete this level in under 15 minutes if you play through the level normally. We're pretty sure it's almost impossible to beat this level without doing some sort of glitch or loading manipulation if you're going to get the achievement. Now, the most common way to get this in under 15 minutes is to have the Sputnik skull on, grenade jump across a bridge, jump down onto the gondola before it leaves, and essentially skip a whole section, which is the easiest way to do it, which is the fact that they expect players just to regularly do that for what is called a par time seems a little bit ridiculous. Sacred Icon is another level that is set up with a 15-minute par time as well, and while while this one isn't as hard as Regret, there's definitely a lot of time that's spent on just navigating hallway to hallway and making your way through the course of this level, just to have this firefight sequence at the end of the level that could really take a while to just wait for all of the flood to spawn out so you can kill them and actually end the level. This one can be really frustrating if you're close to beating the time and then you've killed everything and you're just waiting for the cutscene to activate, and that ends up running your timer out at the very end. Quarantine Zone, on the other hand, is the level right afterwards, and we run into a similar problem where this level is expected to be completed in 15 minutes, and while you do have access to vehicles, there's a lot of stuff going on. You have to jump out of your vehicle at some point, and then you have a long gondola ride where you just have to sit there and wait, and it's completely not up to the player to essentially save time. So your best bet is to make sure you can get to the gondola part with plenty of time left over so you can make your way through the rest of the level, and then you get to Gravemind, which, while it has a 20-minute part time, a little bit more than the rest in this Halo 2 list, on Gravemind, not only is this level difficult, but it is a really long level where you're going section to section, making a lot of backtracking, having to go down hallways, and there's a lot of areas that are just long stretches of walking and repetitive areas that you've already seen before. And yeah, the level's fun, don't get us wrong, but making your way through this one in 20 minutes can be really hard, especially with the required firefight that you have to kind of sit out or participate in partially. You can't skip it and run to the end of the level. You have to sit there, wait for the firefight to end or kill everything, and then you can get the level complete. And it's just frustrating when you just miss the time and you have to start all over. Jumping into Halo 3, you kind of get pinned with 3 of the hardest part-time levels just in a row. And looking back when I was going for the part-time achievements in Halo 3, these were the 3 levels that I had the most trouble on, of course. First, we have the Arc, which is a pretty long level where you start off with a sniper section, then you have to do some vehicle driving, you have to clear all of the enemies in this big canyon area before you get a tank, then you have to drive back in a tank, clear the opening area, go inside, press some buttons, get in another tank, take out a scarab, then go indoors, fight your way through another building, and then have a fight with a bunch of brute jetpacks and a brute chieftain at the end of the level, and you're expected to do all of that in just 20 minutes. And if you're not completely paying attention to the time and just hoofing it as fast as you can, you're not gonna get this done on your first try, and it's gonna take you multiple tries, which can be really frustrating. The Covenant, another extremely long level right after the Arc, is another one that's expected in just 20 minutes, and somehow in this 20-minute period, you're supposed to clear an LZ, make your way up to the first tower, fight your way through that, take an elevator up, fight some brutes, press a button, drive your way all the way back to the area with the Hornets, fly your way across, fight some stuff in the air, go into that third tower, make your way up the elevator, fight off some more brutes, press the button, then the flood shows up, fight the flood off, make your way out of that building, and by now, if time isn't running short enough, you still have more to do. You can then take a vehicle into this big open snowy area. You have to take out 2 scarabs before you can make your way into the last area, where then you have to walk down this long hallway with enemies, even though the flood's teamed up with you, and essentially defeat the Covenant once and for all. But then, if you've managed to make it this far in just 20 minutes, you probably are starting to cut it a little bit close, but you actually have to make your way back across the bridge, even though this part's not really challenging, before the level will actually end and the timer will stop. This one took me about 4 tries, and it took me until I had grouped up with friends to finally get this one completed. Honestly, it just makes me wonder how so many of the other Halo levels have very lenient par times associated with it, but then just randomly they decide, hey, you're gonna be a pro speedrunner for this one specific level. Then the next level, Cortana, gave us some problems too. This is one Luke and I tried a while back when achievement hunting. You have 15 minutes to get through this, and we were going for both the par time and the par score achievement, and it seems like this level takes us just over 15 minutes to hustle through. But we did have a run where we were making just good enough time, and we had a pretty high score, probably just enough to maybe make our way to that perfect par score. And while we were trying to get just one more enemy killed so we could get the par score achievement, we somehow took just a few seconds too long, and the score decay ended up decaying our score just beneath the par score, and our time just above the par time. And to this day, Luke still only has 99% on that achievement because we didn't get either of them on our run. Jumping onto Halo 3 ODST, there's 2 specific levels that are the most difficult if you're going for par-time achievements. On the level Data Hive, this one just takes a really long time because you just have so much walking you have to do. There's a bunch of hallways, you have to make your way down, you have to go through all these different levels. There's this random dude who kind of wants to kill you, but then he usually doesn't want to kill you. You meet Dare, who's someone who's kind of been irrelevant spent most of this game. And then once you make your way all the way to the bottom, you team up with this alien, and then you have to make your way back out, and that can be where it gets really frustrating when you're getting really close, and Virgil decides to maybe get stuck somewhere, causing your timer to just go over the par time, and you fail this one for the achievement as well. And honestly, to get through all of that in just 16 minutes seems to be really cutting it a little bit close. Now, Coastal Highway, the final level in Halo 3 ODST, does look like something on a quick first glance you think you could probably easily do. 25 minutes, easy peasy. But when you start to actually break down the level and think about what goes into it, your time really starts to get eaten up quickly. Besides the little early section where you're running through the streets, you have this long defense driving part where you have to escort the Oliphant to the end of the Coastal Highway, and for the most part, you don't have too much control over how quickly Dare will move along. It's almost a scripted full-on sequence where you kind of are stuck at the pace that the game chooses for you. Sure, you can clear some enemies out quicker and optimize your time the best you can, but there's not too much you can actually do if you're trying to just ultimately get way ahead and way through this. And then you have one of the longest firefight sequences at the end of this area, which also will completely eat up into your time, making this one definitely one of the hardest par time and also, on a separate note, par score levels in the Halo franchise. Jumping onto Halo Reach, we run into the same problem even though Reach was added into MCC later, and while 343 didn't pick the par times for Halo 3 and ODST, they did pick the par times for the rest of the Halos. And Oni Sword Base has just a 10-minute par time, despite the fact that this level has multiple parts to it, where you have to go to 2 different sections and then fight your way up a tower and fight off a bunch of phantoms at the end of the level. Your best bet if you're going for the par time on this one is to completely ignore all of the enemies along the way, use different strategies to take out key enemies, and knowing exactly where the switches are that you have to press while you're out there definitely can help you save time. But if you're just casually playing through it, there's no way you're gonna just go through this your first try, or just as an experienced player coming back, there's no way you're just gonna go through this in 10 minutes unless you know exactly what you're supposed to do. Now, for the most part, the Reach par times were pretty balanced and doable, so it was kind of surprising seeing something like this just completely blindside me right away. However, things do get a little more challenging as expected when you get to a level like Long Night of Solace. It's a 25-minute expected par time, which does seem like a fair challenge. However, there's a lot of things that can go wrong along your playthrough to make this one of the harder ones for sure. This level has a lot loaded in from the early section where you have to clear the beach side and get up into the space station, and that kind of eats into your time right away. But then you also have this Saber section where really you just have to be as fast as you can at taking out the other ships, which definitely can kind of leave it up to players' skill level on something that doesn't really pertain to the core Halo gameplay skill set. And then after all of that, you have to go ahead and go into the ship, navigate your way through all of that, come back, do a firefight section, which are always fun when you're trying to do a par time, before you can clear the 25 minutes on this. But then there is one more level that's just another big challenge, which is the level The Package, which once again brings us back to that area from Sword Base. And while having 20 minutes seems like a good opportunity here, there's a lot of stuff that you have to do right away outside that easily chews into your time. And if you don't already have a strategy specifically set aside for speedrunning, getting the par time is a little bit harder here. And then you have the whole firefight section at the end of the level once you're underground, where not only does the setup before the Covenant starts attacking eat into your time, but also you really have to clear a lot of waves of enemies before the level will conclude and let you lock in your time, making this one definitely one of the more nail biters when it comes to getting this achievement. Okay, jumping into Halo 4, we wanted to start with the level Requiem. And this one's not as crazy as the next one on this list, but since this level is one of the longer levels and it's significantly longer than the previous level, only having 15 minutes to clear it is definitely one of the more challenging ones in Halo 4. There's just a lot going on in this level. While you do have access to a Warthog, which is nice, the fact that there's so many switches you have to flip and then you have to clear some enemies and whatnot, the 15 minutes doesn't quite always seem like the most easily accessible time for this. I'd attempted to do the Halo 4 par times a while back, and I completely gave up on Reclaimer after trying this level 4 times and not getting even close to beating the 20-minute time that it allots. And honestly, it's just that there's so much to this level, and there's a lot of waiting around you have to do, and there's a lot of escorting you have to do to this giant mammoth looking thing. And then there's this whole indoor section duration, and it just makes no sense why they picked 15 minutes as the par time on this level. This is a moment where we even brought in Dim Entree to help us out, and as you guys know from our Kikowani video and other challenges on this channel, Dim's pretty good at Halo. He does the LASO stuff just for fun. He said it would be a breeze. He would just run us through it, and we did finally beat it on a try with a full squad of 4 people, though we only had just 2 minutes left to actually finish the level. And even Dim was surprised how close it was and had forgotten how little time they gave us for how long that level is. So I don't know, Reclaimer just threw us off for Halo 4 par times. And then when it comes to Halo 5 Guardians, there are par times set up, but there's actually no individual achievements for each level. And for the most part, it feels like 343 kind of gave a little bit more leeway when it came to completion of the par times. And if we had to pick 3 levels that were maybe the harder ones in Halo 5 Guardians, it'd be Reunion, which still gives you 18 minutes, and then the levels The Breaking and Guardians, which are definitely longer levels for sure, but they give you 24 minutes and 28 minutes respectively, which kind of feels a little bit like a lot of leeway compared to some of these random outliers we had in MCC. And of course, we wanted to give a huge shout out to our sponsor of this video, Squarespace. Honestly, if you're trying to start any project, the best way to legitimize your project is to have a platform to show off whatever it is you're trying to talk about and trying to share online. In Squarespace, it makes it so easy to build a website that can fit into whatever type of vision that you're working on, and they make the process really easy. Whether you just need a good looking website to quickly get your message across, or you're trying to share something and foster a larger community, Squarespace has the right tools for you. One thing we really like is the fact that they have this commenting feature in their website builder, which lets you create a community on your own website with fully integrated commenting that lets you fully engage with things like threads by having options for users to do things like reply and like comments. And we've definitely talked about this before in the past, but we really love the analytics that are built into Squarespace's dashboard. It's so nice to see where your traffic is coming from, and it helps you refine the content of your page. And when you're ready to launch, head to squarespace.com/rocketsloth to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this. These types of ads help us out a ton in making this content regular. But hey, if you liked this video, can you take a quick moment first? Double check you are in fact subscribed down below with notifications on. It helps us out a lot. We get to do more stuff like this, and that's cool. Also, if you want to talk with us on Twitter, you can follow me at Rocket Elijah, and you can also follow Luke at Rocket Sloth Luke. So feel free to follow us on there and communicate with us a bit. We would kind of appreciate it. But otherwise, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all next time.